In this tutorial, we're going to be creating a unique effect that was talked about by another one of our members. It's a combination of a rollover color change and an OnClick color change, and how to do it. So basically, when the pano or the project opens originally, your first pano is open, and room 1, even though these aren't rooms, room 1, which is the name of that pano, is at the white or selected color. If we roll over the other two buttons, you see they change. Room 2 and room 3 will change colors to help designate which one you're looking at. So if we go to room 2, this is the option that we're looking at. Now we're going to select it. It opens room 2, and then it also changes the color, and room 3 and room 1 have the rollover effect. So if we go down to room 3, roll over it, select it, it will change, and it also changes colors. So we're going to talk about how to create this effect. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of Flashificator completely, because we're going to start from scratch. Then I am going to reopen Flashificator. I'm going to slide it down here where we can look at it. I'm going to call this rollover effect. I'll say one test rollover is going to be the name of my project. Then I'm going to open my visual files, and this is where I have my panos, or my cube faces, so to speak, and I'm going to drag in the first cube face. It's going to bring in the cube face just like that, and we're going to start with there. I'm going to slide this out a little bit. So we have one pano in place. We can come into Flashificator, and then we're going to add the other two panos just by dragging into place. I now have 3 different panos in place. We can spin. Everything's looking good. The next thing you'll want to do is add the sidebar, which was the background color. So I've got a graphic. I'm going to slide it over. Now our graphic is now on the screen. We go to hotspots. We have to position that. First thing we'll do is we're going to call it sidebar. So it's now called sidebar. We want to position it top left, static first, excuse me. That will allow me to select top left. And here it's trying to assign a position of 288. We're going to change that to 0. And then we'll change the Y to 0 also. It's still too fat, so to speak. So I'm going to change the X scale back to something that looks good. We'll come down here, click there, and then that way I can make a greater change. So I'm going to come to 0.4, 0.5, somewhere in there. I'm going to reload, because that will actually give you your actual size. I'm going to choose 0.4. We're okay. I'll reload it one more time, but it shouldn't be necessary because it's already found the size of the graphic. So now my sidebar is okay. But now what you need to do is, if you like that color, then you're great. If you don't like that color, then you can just go to filters and change the color. The color that I kind of liked or picked out is 0.22 hue, so I'm changing that. And then saturation, we're going to go to 0.23. And so that's changed that green to a blue just by changing the filters here. I'm going to go back to hotspot, and then I'm going to add our room buttons. So the room buttons are simple PNG graphics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag them onto the stage now. So here's room 1. I'm going to drag on room 2. I'm going to drag on room 3. And so these are what I would call our regular buttons, and they're black and they're sitting there. So now we need to position them. Across the bottom we see hotspot name, so I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to name it Room 1 button. I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to name it Room 2 button. And then I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to name it Room 3 button. Now that the hotspots are named correctly, what I want to do is position them correctly. All of them need to be static. So I'm going to click here and make it static. Go to Room 2, make it static. Room 3, make it static. Then I'm back on Room 1. I'm going to position it in the left, top left, and that puts it up here in the corner. I'm going to take the toggle that toolbar off at the top so that you can see it. That's too much in the corner for what we want to do, so what you want to do is change your static. We're going to go to X10, and then we're going to change it to Y20, and that's going to bring it out some. And again, generally what you need to do is go ahead and do a reload so that everything sizes properly. See the change in the size there. We'll take the Room 2 button. We'll do the same thing again. Room 2 button, it's already static. I'm going to make it top left. Then I'm going to change its position so that we can see it to 10, which is the same position out to the right. And then I'm also going to change the Y to 50, and that's going to bring it down there to where we can see it. Do the same thing for Room 3 button. Click on Room 3, make your position top left, make X10, make Y80. That brings your rooms buttons into view. So we've got our original 3 buttons. Think of this as layers of paint. All of these are sitting here layered onto above the sidebar. The next thing that you need to do is create the function that changes these when you roll over, roll off. So let's go to Room 1 button, click Functions. We're going to make another function. We're going to record. Now we're going to click on the Filters button, and where brightness right now is setting on 0, we're going to move it to 0.5, which is changing that color to like a gray. Okay. Then we're going to go back to Functions, stop the recording, name, I'm going to change it to OnRollover, On Out, leave Generate Reverse, change the name to OnRollover Room 1, something that you can understand. And then I'm going to click Finish. Then what's going to happen is we're going to click on Room 1. We're going to assign this button, well, it should be assigned already, so let's click on OnRollover. It's already assigned to OnRollover, and if you go to On Out, the reverse is assigned. Okay? Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to Room 2, hotspot, Room 2, and then we're going to create a function for Room 2. So Functions, make another function, record, go to the filter, move brightness to 0.5. Go back to Functions, stop the recording, OnRollover Room 2, make it OnRollover, OnRollover and Out, generate reverse, finish. Now if you'll come down and look at Room 2, OnRollover, it's there. Now let's go ahead and go to Room 3. We're going to make another function. We're going to record it, going to go to filters. We're going to make brightness 0.5 again. Again, you can notice it's changing to gray. Go back to the functions, stop the recording, change the name to OnRollover Room 3. It's generate reverse, on over, on out. Hit finish. And then again on over for room 3, you'll see OnRollover Room 3 function. So now what you've got is a rollover function that when you roll over them, it changes colors. How do we get it to go to white? Well, if you added an OnClick to this, it would change it to white, but as soon as you rolled off of it, the on off or the on out here would cause it to go back to black, so it would not stay white. So what you have to do is add another set of images that are the duplicates of room 1, room 2, and room 3. So you're using this exact same PNG files. So I'm going to drag a new set in, room 1, room 2, and room 3. So we've got our new hotspots. So I'm going to call hotspot 6 Alt, A-L-T, room 1. I'm going to go to hotspot 7, and it's going to be called Alt, room 2. Hotspot 8 is now going to be Alt, room 3. So now we have our hotspots that are sitting out here in space. Well, we have to position them the exact same positions. We're going to, like I said about painting, this is going to be another layer over top of the original layer. It's the depth factor, so to speak. So let's go to Alt Room 1. We have to position Alt Room 1 directly over Room 1. Once again, let's reload and make these come to their true size. So now these theoretically are their true size. Alt Room 1, we're going to make it static. We're going to make it top left, top left. We're going to change its static position to 10, and Y is going to be 20. Let's reload this and just let's change these all to static real quick, because that size did not work. Now let's reload it again. There you go. Now our Alt Room 1 is sitting precisely over the top of our regular Room 1. Let's do the same thing for Room 2 and Room 3. Alt Room 2 and Alt Room 3. So we're going to change their position. So Alt Room 2. That's where we're at. We're going to make it X. So excuse me, before you do that, it has to be static, top left, top left. Static X is going to be 10. Static Y is going to be 50. Now it's sitting on top of the other. We're going to go to Alt Room 3. It's static, top left, top left. X is going to be 10. Y is going to be 80. Well, that's great. They're sitting on top of the other. Now your rollovers won't work because you have your Alt button sitting on top of your standard buttons, and so it can't interact. So let's go ahead and change the color of the Alt 1, 2, and 3 to the white. So we're going to go to Filters. We'll make brightness 1. We'll go to Alt 2, Filters, brightness 1. Alt 3, Filters, brightness 1. So now we have all of these are white. Still can't interact with anything underneath. So let's go to Alt Room 1. We're going to make it invisible by unchecking the visible box. Alt Room 2, we're going to make it disappear. Alt Room 3, we're going to make it disappear. Now we can interact with those lower layers. So we've got that back. Now what we have to do is create a function that will bring back Alt Room 1, 2, and 3 when we click on their respective buttons. So let's go to Alt Room 1, which is invisible right now. We're going to start a function, a new function that's going to interact with Alt Room 1. We want it to be a make another function. We're going to record. We're going to go to hotspot. We're going to make it visible. So we've made room 1 visible. Now what we want to do is click on Alt Room 2. We want to make this visible, make it visible by clicking on it. And then we're going to click on it one more time and make it invisible again. We have to do the same thing to Alt Room 3. Make it visible, make it invisible. We're going to go to functions. We're going to stop recording. It's on over, on out. We do not need to generate reverse with this one because they will take care of each other. We're going to call this OnClick Room 1 and click Finish. So when you click on, and we have to assign it, but we're not going to assign this new function OnClick Room 1 to Alt Room. We're going to assign it to the Room 1 button, which is right now, which is active. So we're going to assign it to the Room 1 button as an OnClick. Okay, Room 1 OnClick. So if we come up, when we click on it, it will turn. Room 1 OnClick, assign it to OnClick. I failed to do that. So when you click on it, it changes color. Now I've been having trouble clicking on it, and what that tells me is I've forgotten a step. That particular step for Room 1 button, or for all of these buttons, is going to go to Hotspot. Actually go to Hotspot 2. Click Alpha Detection. Alpha Detection right now is on. So any gap that's in that ping that is not colored, it's going to ignore your mouse, so to speak. So what you want to do is cut alpha detection off, so that anytime you place anywhere your mouse over this, it's going to interact with it and allow you to click on it. So on all of these buttons, we're going to change alpha detection to unchecked. And that will help with clicking. So now everything's alpha detection is off, so I'm going to change that back to regular hotspot. I'm going to click on the Room 1 button, but now I'm going to come up, Room 1 button, when we click on it, it's there. Now we have to create other functions for the Alt Room 2 and Alt Room 3 buttons that will start toggling the other buttons off. Okay. So let's go to functions for Alt Room 2. We're going to make another function. We're going to record it. For Alt Room 2, you want to go to your filter. Well, you can go to Alt Room 1, go to your filters. Excuse me. Go to your hotspot. You want to make your, on Alt Room 1 button, check the visible button, then uncheck it, because if you don't, it's not going to know. What we're basically forcing it to do is make it invisible. On Alt Room 2 button, we want to force it to be visible. Alt Room 3 button, it's invisible, but it's not forced. So let's make it visible, then make it invisible, and that forces that function to be written. Now we have to click on the function button again, stop the recording, and we're going to call this OnClick Room 2. We made, when they click on Room 2, Alt 1 button is going to go 0 or invisible. Alt 2 button is going to become visible, and Alt 3 button is going to go back to invisible. We'll hit finish. Once again, we're not going to apply the function to the Alt button. We're going to apply it to the standard button. So we're going to go to room 2 down at the bottom. Then we're going to do OnClick. OnClick room 2 is going to be assigned to that. So now if we go up to room 2 and click on it, it turns white. If we go up to room 1, because we've already created that, and we click on that, then it knows to force off room 2, but yet still turn white. Same thing, you click on room 2, it forces off room 1 and actually room 3, and room 2 turns white. So the last thing we need to do here for the buttons are, we're going to go to Alt room 3 button. Well, that's really not necessary. We're going to go to functions, make another function. We're going to record. We're actually recording the room 3 OnClick. So Alt room 1, we want the hotspot to be invisible. We have to force it. So you click on visible, click on invisible. That forces that code to be written. Alt room 2, we have to force it again. So we go visible, invisible. On Alt room 3, we want to force this button to be visible. We're going to go to functions. We're going to stop that function. We're going to name that function OnClick room 3. And again, you can see what's happening here. And then we're going to click finish. Again, we don't have to have generate reverse. Scroll down. Here's our function. We're going to assign the OnClick room 3 to the room 3 button. OnClick, and put it in the functions attached. So now all of these should work. You click on room 3, it turns white. You click on room 2, it turns white, and it drops the others, and room 1. And everything works. The next step will be to link the panos to the buttons. So we go to Flashificator. We've got the first pano open. We've got the room 1 button exactly where we want it. So these two are going to interact. We're going to say create load pano. This is matching. This is correct. This is the one we want. You have to assign a transition effect or this won't work. So I'm going to click fade. We're going to leave everything else just like it is. The room 1 button is going to be the controller here, and I'm going to click auto attach function. Go back to attaching. So now we're back where we were. We'll click right here, Flashificator. I'm going to go to the room 2 pano, which is not truly room. I'm going to say view the pano. So it's going to change. Okay. I'm going to create load pano again. And again, you can see the right pano is in place. Transition effect, we're going to make it fade again. But we want it to be the room 2 controller. So just click room 2 and there it shows up. Auto attach function. Go back to editing or attaching. Click on third pano. View pano. There's our pano. We're going to create load pano. That's the one that we want. The transition effect's also going to be a fade, and we have the room 3 button as the controller. Auto attach. Go back to attaching. So we're done with attaching. I'm going to click back on hotspots just to center us back where we were. So if we click on room 1, let me reload here just a second. So there's room 1. Click on room 2, it changes. Click on room 3, it changes. Click on room 1, it changes. If you notice when we reload, none of the rooms are in their OnClick state, even though this one is in place. So what you want to do is assign a global function. So change hotspot here to global. We want to change it to onStart, and then what we want to do is assign the OnClick room 1 to that, and when we reload, room 1 should be white now, which indicates the pano that we're on. I know this has been kind of long, but I hope it shows you everything that's in play, and it's amazing what Flashificator can do. Thank you for your time.